Welcome to the Salmond Show from bustling Barcelona, one of the great cities of Europe, one of the greatest cities in the world. But it's doubtful that even this city in its 2,000-year-plus history has seen anything as exciting and turbulent as the events of the last year. On October the 1st last year, a referendum on independence was suppressed by the intervention of the Spanish state police. Then the subsequent declaration of the Catalan Republic was met by the imprisonment and exile of many of the Catalan political leaders. 10 months later, the political impasse remains, but there's a new Prime Minister in Spain and a new President of the Catalan people. Today, in this magnificent setting of the Generalitat of Catalonia, I asked President Quim Torra for his strategy of how to achieve his dream of a Catalan Republic. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. President Quim Torra, I'm delighted to welcome you to the Salmond Show.
Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be with you here in this palace of the Generalitat, the government of Catalonia.
Now, you were elected president. You were the fourth candidate to be put forward in the parliament. You were elected by a plurality of one single vote.
Exactly.
And you yourself have said, in your opinion, President Puigdemont is still the legitimate president of Catalonia. Under these circumstances, is it difficult to exert presidential authority?
So I think that what is abnormal, what is exceptional now in Catalonia is our political situation. You know, there are political prisoners in jail in Spain, Democrats, politicals that they only wanted to let the Catalan vote and are in prison now. There are people in exile as well, and there are thousands and thousands of Catalans being persecuted, investigated by the Spanish police, etc. So we are living in a very, let's say, critical political moment in Catalonia, and I think that this is the point.
And this symbol you're wearing in your lapel, which we see all around Catalonia, is this the symbol of those who've been imprisoned and incarcerated, the politicians and campaigners?
Yes, exactly. This is the yellow ribbon that we wear. This is the situation is for demanding the freedom for our colleagues that are in prison, demanding the coming back, the exiles, and demanding coming back the democracy and the freedom of expression in Catalonia as well.
Now, President Torra, as you say, you've come into the office in exceptional and exceptionally difficult circumstances. What is your strategy to try and get Catalonia back on the road to be able to choose to have an independent republic? Which is your aim?
We are here because there's a democratic mandate that come after the last election with and the voters they voted for a politicians that continue the process of independence that was beginning 5-6 years ago. In the last 3 elections, the independentist parties in Catalonia have won the elections. So we think that the people has expressed their support to the idea of the Catalan Republic, and that's the aim of our government, to go ahead, to go on in what we think that is the mandate that the people is asking us to do for.
The independence parties, I mean, there are 3 main independence parties.
Yes.
You famously are not a member of a political party.
No, not at all.
Is this an advantage in being able to coalesce that independence grouping together as the president?
I came from the basis of this independence movement. I used to work with Muriel Casals, one of the former presidents of Òmnium Cultural, one of the main important social association for the independence movement. I am member of the Catalan National Assembly, that is the second largest, let's say, association for the independence. Well, now I'm in the position to hear what the people is asking us to do for.
Now, you're the new president, but there is also a new prime minister in Spain, Senor
Yes.
Sanchez.
Mm-hmm.
Does that open up the possibility of dialogue, which clearly hasn't been there over the past few years.
Yeah, exactly. I had a meeting with Mr. Sanchez. So for the first time in many years, we had the opportunity to sit together around the same table and to talk about everything. This is a good starting point. We agreed that this is a political issue that should be solved politically. Now there's starting this dialogue between Catalonia and Spain. But now we should see facts from the Spanish government, and we will be there. We will be there to talk about everything.
Let me take you back to another key moment. That was the 1st of October last year.
Yes, exactly.
On the day of the referendum, with the activities of the Spanish state police, which everyone in the world saw on the television screens. Where were you? What were you doing? And what was your immediate reaction to what you were saying?
Well, with more than 2 million people, I was in the school that is supposed that was my polling station. With my family and other friends, we occupied this school from Friday evening just to assure that all our neighbors and all our friends could vote.
In defending the ballot box.
Defending, exactly. This was the idea. Let's be there, because if we are not there, probably the police should close the door and it would be impossible to vote peaceful and freely. We were determined to defend people to vote, and we did it.
Let me take you forward a few weeks to the declaration of a Catalan Republic following on the referendum, and then within a few days the arrest or exile and then imprisonment of many political leaders in Catalonia. Did you go from an exuberant high to a great depression as you saw events unfold?
The society was shocked. I think that after some weeks we started to recover ourselves. We started to wear this yellow ribbon. We start to think that we should do many things. And now independence Catalan movement is every day doing thousands of activities around Catalonia, expressing their support to the political prisoners, to the people of exile.
In your negotiations, conversations thus far with Prime Minister Sanchez, is the release of the political prisoners a prerequisite of having substantial negotiations from your perspective?
We think that the political prisoners should be free this evening, should be free tomorrow. We are not negotiating it in any circumstances, because if we negotiate about the freedom of the prisoners, in a certain way we are admitting that they are in prison for some reasons. In fact, this is not my opinion. This is not the opinion of the independentist movement in Catalonia. This is the opinion of the justice of Germany. This is the opinion of the justice of Switzerland. This is the opinion of the justice of Belgium and Scotland as well. So we see that in 4 countries in Europe, justice is going in one direction, and in Spain, justice is going just in the opposite direction. And who is right? Europe or Spain in this remark? Because Mr. Puigdemont, I'm going to see him is a free citizen now, that he can move around Europe.
Except in Spain.
Except Spain. Imagine, except Spain.
But even so, would you regard the suspension of the requests for European arrest warrants as a de-escalation? Or do you fear that they may be reactivated at some point over the next few months? For us, for the Catalans, is the same having Mr. Sanchez or having Mr. Rajoy. Now it's turn for Mr. Sanchez to demonstrate, not only to the Catalans, I think that to the world, that things in Spain can be done in a different way than from the Conservative Party. Well, let's assume for the sake of argument that I was the Prime Minister of Spain. And I say to you, I say, look, Mr. President, I've been thinking about how to come to a settlement. And I've been thinking back to the Constitutional Court's suspension of an agreed statute of autonomy. I've been thinking about what happened in the 1st of October last year, and I've been thinking about the political prisoners' nose in exile. And I think it's time to revive the settlement that we were agreed on, which had been passed in Catalonia in a referendum. Would that be enough to, at least for the short term, be something that you would be interested in discussion? Or would you say to Mr. Sanchez, look, we have to have a referendum on independence?
An answer should be done by the Spanish government, because we want self-determinate. In fact, we self-determinated the 1st of October. And we can negotiate about this referendum, okay, and the political declaration of independence of the 27th of October by an agreed referendum from the Spanish government. This could be a solution.
So let me be clear about what you're saying. You're saying that if there was to be an agreement about having a referendum at some point in the future, which was acknowledged and accepted as legal and binding by the Spanish government, then you would be prepared to put aside all decisions that had been made to date with regard to the previous referendum.
This is a reasonable deal, I think, for trying to solve this issue politically, as we agreed, President Sanchez and myself.
The case of Catalonia has had pretty short shrift. It's had pretty negative reaction from the leadership of most European countries and from the European Union institutions. Do you think that that is set by the fact that Spain is a loyal European Union member and the European Commission doesn't cross a loyal European member?
We know how difficult it is to be a new state in our days. Of course, we know how many sacrifices the Catalan people should do in the future if we want to be independent, logically. But we know as well the real politics, how it is. So if we are determined to be independent, and if we really have the strength, have the determination, have even the aim to suffer the sacrifices that probably we will have to do to be independent, then I don't have any doubt that at the end the European Union should accept Catalonia as a member of this club of states.
And finally, Mr. President, you said something very important, which was that the case for independence, for self-determination, had increasingly moved on to be a community case about democracy, about participation.
Absolutely.
In contrast, with which many would see as the defects of the Spanish political system, and indeed other political systems elsewhere. But you yourself have been criticised in the past for writings which were apparently objectionable to Catalans with a Spanish orientation. What can you do, because you're now the president of all of Catalonia, what can you do to unite opinion across Catalonia to say this democratic dream that we have, this participative democracy, is a substantially superior vision and inclusive of all people in Catalonia?
I used to say that the same freedom that I want for Catalonia, I want the same for the Spanish people. And now freedom in the Iberic Peninsula means republic. So I hope that soon the Republic of Catalonia and the Republic of Spain should meet together fraternally. And I think that this is the best future for all of us.
Well, I can't determine the future, Mr. President, but what I can do is offer you something to toast the future.
I know it very well. Yeah.
This is a quaich, which is Scots Gaelic for a loving cup. You know the drill. Whiskey, only Scotch whiskey, nothing else will do.
No,
in the
because
quaich,
if not, it disintegrated.
And then round all the citizens of Catalonia.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the
Thank you, Mr. Salmond. Thank you.
Of course, political opinion is divided in Catalonia. Coming up after the break, I'll be interviewing Miquel Iceta, a campaigner against independence and leader of the Catalan Socialists. I'll be interviewing Miquel and other key actors on this dramatic political stage. Welcome back to Barcelona and these grand surroundings of the Palace of the Generalitat of Catalonia. We've heard from new President Quim Torra. Now we're going to hear from the leader of the Catalan Socialists, who has a different perspective on the national question in Catalonia. Miquel, welcome to the Alex Salmond Show.
Thank you for having me.
Now, your party position is you're opposed to Catalan independence, but equally you are very unhappy with the Rajoy government, the Popular Party government's response last year to the Catalan referendum. Why are you opposed to Catalan independence?
I don't think that to separate from Spain would be any good for Catalonia. Catalonia can be greater and bigger throughout the belonging in Spain and in the European Union. I don't believe that a small country in this difficult world would survive better alone.
So, October the 1st last year, when you witnessed scenes that we saw around the world, what was your thought as the socialist leader in Catalonia?
Well, I was very worried about the breaking of the rule of law that pro-independence parties forced upon everyone. And I was also very concerned about the no-response, the non-political response of the Popular Party. And the worst day of this period was the 1st of October, when the Popular Party decided to go against a referendum by using the police force upon people that wanted to vote. And you must address the issue telling the pro-independence people there is another way to reach your goals and to be better together. We've been lucky enough to have a changement in the government of Spain, and the new government chaired by Pedro Sánchez of the Socialist Party says, I'm willing to engage into a political dialogue. I think it's the good answer.
What is your message to your party colleague, Senor Sánchez, the new Prime Minister of Spain, as to the dialogue that he should initiate with the leaders of Catalonia?
There won't be any solution that can't be voted by the Catalan people. I think the vote mustn't be on independence, but into what in Scotland you say a Devo Max solution. We would like Spain to develop into a federal state. And I think in this way we can find the solution for a majority of Catalan people.
And so what's the Aseta plan? I mean, are you going to try and reset the clock back to 2010? Is that a way forward? Or is there some other rabbit you can pull out the hat?
No, I don't think that wouldn't be enough, because for many Catalan people, to go back is not really a good solution. But I think we have a problem of having more self-government, a better financing, and a position to influence into Spanish politics bigger than we have now as Catalan people. And that's why we feel that we don't need just a reform of the Catalan Statute of Autonomy, but also a reform of the Spanish Constitution. At the end, I think it's the only way out of this problem.
You and I have looked at many political systems across the world, and it is very unusual to have that number of people on the streets, whatever the point of view. I mean, that is a sign of a very, very politically active and aware community.
Yes, and I think I'm not for independence, but I've always acknowledged the capacity of the pro-independence people to put up these marches and this grassroots organization. They've done things very good and very peacefully. And I think that's why we can find a peaceful and through dialogue solution.
Miquel, thank you very much for the interview. Now, I can't come up with a plan to solve the Catalonia issue, but I can present you with the Alex Salmond Quake, and you know the drill: whiskey, only Scotch, in the Quake, and round all your close friends.
Thank you very much. Very, very nice.
Thank you for the interview, sir. Thank you.
See you soon.
I'm now delighted to be joined by Elisenda Pelusier, the President of the Catalan National Assembly. Welcome to the Alex Salmond Show, Elisenda.
Thank you very much for inviting me to this show.
You're a campaigning organisation, a civic organisation, quite apart from the political parties. That must be quite a balancing act, not to become favouring one party over another, because there are a number of parties who support independence for Catalonia.
Yeah, this role for the Catalan National Assembly is quite complicated, both externally and internally, because the political parties for independence in Catalonia are very diverse. We have three main groups and several parties, and the Catalan National Assembly has to be independent of all of them, and at the same time try to push their political agenda for agreements to get the objective of independence.
Where does the role of the Catalan National Assembly lie now? What's your key source of activities out with the political party context?
Yeah. At present, most of our agenda has been centered in the last months in showing support and solidarity to the political prisoners and the exiles, like raising money for their families and holding demonstrations asking for their freedom.
The other people who are in prison or in exile, have they been from the political parties who are the ministers or office bearers in the Parliament, as opposed, or do you have some of your own members?
We have our own members in jail. The only thing Jordi Cuixart and Jordi Sánchez, as presidents of Catalan National Assembly and Òmnium Cultural did, was organizing the Yes campaign and organizing peaceful demonstrations in the streets of Catalonia.
And how about your future activities for the Catalan National Assembly? How do you see the politics and the constitution of Catalonia playing out over the next few years?
I think that the political repression is giving us more arguments in our fight for self-determination and independence. So I think that international political opinion is going to be more prepared to understand why Catalans want independence than they were in the past.
So how would you see, as President of the Catalan National Assembly, how do you see this struggle continuing? How do you see the politics emerging? And can you see a light at the end of the tunnel? Can you see a route, a strategy that will get you towards your objective of independence?
I think that we have to be persistent, we have to be coherent, we have to work a lot, we have to be intelligent, and we will get it in the end, independence.
Now, I don't know, this is a quaich. You know the drill, only Scotch whisky in the quaich. I don't think it'll be big enough to pass around your entire demonstration in September, but thank you so much for being on the Alex Salmond Show.
Thanks for inviting us. Thank you very much.
I'm now delighted to be joined by Ernest Maragall, the new Catalan Foreign Minister. Minister, you had a distinguished career in socialist politics in Catalonia, before you moved to the Republican left. Can you tell us a bit about that transition in your thinking?
That does not mean that I have changed. I am still a socialist in all the senses you can imagine. That's the Socialist Party that has changed. I have been always socialist, but also Catalanist.
You come in as the new foreign minister in a tricky situation. I would imagine that one of your early priorities is negotiations with the Spanish government to secure the release of the ministers and others who've been imprisoned. Would that be an early priority for you?
I think we have, three main fields to work in. And we have the first one, and more important, is freedom, democracy freedom. It includes, obviously, the liberty from our prisoners and also return from our exiles. I think it's a precondition of any kind of dialogue we could begin with the Spanish government. But we have also the field of not renouncing. We have to achieve freedom and liberty. We have to not renounce but maintain our purpose of reaching a real possibility to decide about our future as a country, as Catalonia. And at the same time, we have to govern. We have to build the country.
Do you anticipate that with the new socialist government in Madrid, it will at least be possible to establish a dialogue which wasn't possible with the government of Senor Rajoy?
The issue is which is the content of this dialogue. because probably they would just limit the content of the dialogue to the third of the fields. But obviously we cannot accept this without advancing at the same time in the two other issues: freedom and liberty, freedom and democracy, and self-government and right to the self-determination process. No?
Finally, Minister, you've substantial experience in the politics of European institutions, the European Union.
I think the Catalan is an European issue, as the Scotland is.
Well, do you detect an irony that Catalonia, anxious to be part of the European home, is finding it very difficult to get purchase in European institutions? Well, the United Kingdom, which voted at least by majority to leave the European structures, is finding it very difficult to leave. Is there an irony in this?
There is an argument to encourage you as Scottish people to join us in a pro-European, a pro-new European Union. No?
Well, Minister, I wish you well in your endeavours. And to help you on the way, I present you with the Alex Salmond Quake and the drill.
Wow.
Whiskey, only Scotch.
Only Scotch.
Only Scotch. No other whiskey works. And then pass it round your many friends.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Salmond.
The grandeur of these surroundings and the palace of the Generalitat of Catalonia should not disguise the fact there is still a febrile political atmosphere. The vast majority of Catalans want the right to determine their own future, even if they are divided on what that decision and determination should be. We've heard from the new president about his strategy for achieving his dream of an independent republic. There is a new Prime Minister in Madrid. There is going to be a dialogue. But whether that becomes a meaningful dialogue or just a dialogue of the deaf remains to be seen. One thing is certain: Catalonia still has the capacity to astonish the world. So from Tasmania and myself and all at the Alex Salmond Show, it's goodbye for now. One of the features of the Catalonian constitutional debate has been the contribution of leading academic economists. In next week's show, we feature some of these world-ranked economists, both liberal and progressive, who have been active in the political dialogue of Catalonia.